Don changes topics here and says in question 32, the three aspects of the magical personality are stated to be power, love, and wisdom. Is this correct? And are these the only primary aspects of the magical personality? Ra says the three aspects of the magical personality, power, love, and wisdom, are so called in order that attention be paid to each aspect in developing the basic tool of the adept, that is, itself. It is by no means a personality of three aspects. It is a being of unity, being of sixth density, and equivalent to what you call your higher self, and at the same time is a personality enormously rich in variety of experience and subtlety of emotion. Wow. Okay, so let's unpack this one. Don's specific question was the three aspects of the magical personality. You see, I love how Don, being mechanical, always segmented things, and Ra complemented it with saying, yes, these things are for you to see. It's like saying, I want to show you a tree, right? And I'm going to show you the branches and the leaves. And so you may ask, oh, is the tree made up of branches and leaves? Yes, to a degree it is. But those are distinctions that we're looking at a tree. You see, you cannot plug the leaves out and call it a tree. You cannot plug branches out and call it a tree. A tree is a whole organism. It's one thing. And so in the same way, that's what Ra does with Don, as it is appropriate for the study to segment, to dissect things, because we can see, oh yeah, the branch is different from the leaf. I see it, just like love is different from wisdom, but the leaf belongs to the branch, and the branch wouldn't be a branch without the leaf. You see, so this is important for us to, what I call, integrate what we study. What we study needs to be integrated, otherwise it just stays as mumbo jumbo in our minds, and it doesn't sit well. Yeah, that's the word. It doesn't sit well within us. So, okay, three aspects of the magical personality. Just to collapse certain terms, magical personality is the invoking of the higher self, period. That's it. Now, that's just magical work, which I'm not very familiar with, not quite interested, but we can play with that, and I can give you my my understandings. This is something that's also, we do this, I'm familiar with, the only magical tradition or magical workings that I'm familiar with was in my first year when I I assisted, and I sort of work also with shamans and with plant medicine, and that was it. That's my only experience. Less than a year I was involved sort of in that with plant medicine, and again, mostly as a participant, not as a helper or anything. So as always, I like to investigate and know and question. So that's me asking questions. How does this work? How do you do this? And why do you do it this way? So that's where I got my information. So it's kind of related. You do something similar when you go into a ceremony with shamans and the whole, thing. Not just, you can do it at home too, but anyhow, this is about magical personality. So higher self invoked. Is this correct? And are these the only primary aspects of the magical personality? Yeah, so Ra is once again collapsing everything and saying the three aspects of the magical personality, power, love, and wisdom, are so called in order that attention be paid to each aspect in developing the basic tool of the adept, that is, itself. The self is made up of love, wisdom, and power. These three are obviously, we don't have to say, oh, I need to acquire those. No, you have them already. All you need to do is allow them to be. Allow your love to be so it can inform your wisdom. And power is derived from that. It's a natural thing. You don't have to practice magic, although magic or magical rituals and all these things, I'm sure they are helpful. There's a reason why people have been doing it for thousands of years, but there's a reason why a lot of people never did it, and they went the path of harmony and balance and complete enlightenment without this. So there's no need for it. So they are mentioned only for the entity to pay attention to these aspects of the self. You are developing the self. The self contains all of these, so you don't have to acquire them or accomplish them or whatever. It is by no means a personality of three aspects. Very important thing. The tree is not made of branches, leaves and trunk or roots or whatever else. It's just one. It's a being of unity, Ra says. Being of sixth density and equivalent to what you may call the higher self. So it is a being of unity, a being of sixth density, because that's the the density of unity, right? It's synonymous. A being of unity, being of sixth density, and equivalent to what you call your higher self. Now I'll get into the higher self in a bit. At the same time is a personality enormously rich in variety of experience and subtlety of emotion. I'll explain that when I get to the higher self. Last part, Ra says, the three aspects are given that the neophyte not abuse the tools of its trade, but rather approach those tools balanced in the center of love and wisdom, and thus seeking power in order to serve. So very important, the three aspects are given that the neophyte, the new learner, right, not abuse the tools of his trade, which are power, love, and wisdom, but rather approach those tools balanced in the center of love and wisdom, and thus seeking power in order to serve. So, love and wisdom. First, Ra says that the heart center, love, is the springboard for the spiritual work. That makes sense. Love and wisdom, these two. You develop wisdom as you allow love to be. You see, it just shines naturally, but you have to allow it, of course. So wisdom and love, these are the tools for seeking power in order to serve. Now, this is actually catered to both positive and negative, because you seek power in order to serve the self or in order to serve others. That's within the answer here. Now, the higher self, I said I was going to talk about the higher self. See, the higher self is not something that is extraneous to us. The higher self is that portion of our mind that is, when you quiet yourself, when you allow yourself to simply be, there is a sort of intelligent information that filters through your mind, right? And that is the higher self. That's why I remember Greg Braden talking about this, like he would do this, he would tap his heart and wait for an answer to come, and he would feel it and say, okay, that's the answer. He was tapping into his higher self. See, that kind of practice is tapping into your higher self. They even call it, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, great people that talk about this. They know that there's an intelligence within the heart. Well, that is the higher self. That is the higher self filtering the information there. So you listen to that. That's why it's a being of infinite experience. You see, when they say enormously rich in variety, you see, and of experience and subtlety of emotion, all of this is contained there. This is to me equated to that. As you develop yourself into becoming more and more faithful with the creation, this higher self shines. The higher self is not one that is coming here to put order into things, but to allow things to happen and to enjoy things as they happen. So as the personality, the persona, I should say, especially with these terms, the persona, the ego, the separate self dissolves, this higher self starts to come into being. Let me mention somebody else who you should know, Aaron Abke. has been talking about this system that I believe he kind of synthesized with the what do you call it? I forgot. Don't tell him that I forgot. But it's a system where he measures the, I forgot what it is. It's the frequency or something. But it's all about knowing where you are in terms of vibration, right? And that is, what we know as complete enlightenment in third density is the higher self. Is the higher self being invoked and lived by all the time, right? But that's a process. That is not something that you simply invoke and that's it, I'm done. So it's a process. And that's the path of the adept.